We are on the morning break on the fourth and final day of questioning of Bob Lambert at the undercover policing inquiry. I'm joined by Bristol KRS for many times of coverage, first time of this parish.
Thank you.
Good to have you. So this morning, Bob Lambert has been questioned about his management of HN81, who he hilariously pretended not to work out who he was, James Thompson, the work that he did in trying to prevent Helen Steele from finding John Dines, and we just got started on HN60. What have you made of what he's had to say?
Well, I liked how we were getting onto a sense of how he was considered by other members of the SDS, particularly the younger cohort. So in terms of reaching out to him when he was in trouble with the then managers of SDS, I thought that was quite interesting that he was going to Bob Lambert. You've got to ask yourself, why would James Thompson be reaching out to Bob Lambert?
Right, yeah.
When he was being caught out for by the then management for all sorts of irregularities with his expenses and what he was doing with his time and his reporting.
Yes, but Bob speculates it's because he's such a good listener.
I mean, I can kind of see why he's putting it forward like that, because that would fit the frame. But you've got to consider further than that. Why would someone from this younger generation of spy cops specifically be reaching out to Bob Lambert, who is now outside of the SDS, with these very specific problems that he's experiencing, namely in his reporting, and then all of the problems he's causing himself through a fit up and sexual relationships with women.
Yeah, I mean, so this meeting takes place in 2002, so it's after Lambert's left the unit, but Lambert seemed to was acting like he was completely unaware of the irregularities with Thompson's deployment that got him in so much trouble. He started sort of going on about like a trip to France and a firearm. Just, the typical sort of willful misremembering.
But also the incidentals that tripped out as he's trying to avoid putting any specifics on things. I mean, he mentions that in his travelogue style explanation, it's in a cafe somewhere in Putney near a police location where I'd be doing some work. He's talking about, well, maybe now, maybe 2 hours, who knows? I mean, he's opening himself up. He knows it was a long meeting, and in a long meeting, you cover a lot of details. There's no way he could not know the specifics of what James Thompson was looking for support with. He went to Bob Lambert because Bob Lambert was considered a rabbi within the spy cops, especially the rank and file. Yeah,
I mean, we see it again in the letter that John Dines sends to Lambert, where he says, "Not unusually, I find myself turning to you in times of difficulty." Yes,
exactly. There's that unspoken, considered constant. Bob Lambert is this constant presence for officers. Far beyond the years that he himself was either serving as a UCO or as a manager. And it lends itself to us realizing quite what a horrifically pervasive influence he's had in terms of the way that he managed to get away with things. He is then inculcating that directly when he's a manager, and then there's waves and waves of this shadow that looms over everything many years past when he was a manager, and it far extends beyond any formal recognition of his standing. The fact that he's effectively undermining the then management of SDS. It goes beyond any sense of, well, I've always been loyal to the unit. He's not loyal to the unit. He's not loyal to SDS. He's not loyal to MPS. He's loyal to Bob Lambert up until the point that someone else might drag him down. He's loyal, but fundamentally he's not doing this because he's in support of the mission. He's doing it because he's got this sense that he's really important.
Yeah. I think that comes across really strongly as well with the stuff we looked at with him, inverted commas, protecting John Dines from Helen Steele. So Helen Steele had, after John Dines disappeared, she spent a great deal of time and effort and travel tracking down John Dines, finding him. Firstly his parents, his mother-in-law in New Zealand, goes to New Zealand, attempts to find him directly. But what seems to concern Lambert, from what we can tell from what he's written in the briefing notes, is that there's a danger that should she find Dines, we confirm that he's an undercover officer, that might call into question the convictions of Clark and Shepherd, because he was acted as, at the very least, an agent provocateur in that situation.
I thought David Barr did an excellent job in teasing out all of those elements. And I think you've summarized exactly why David Barr was doing that and what the aim of it was. And I think that David Barr did it so successfully that Lambert was unable to deny it. He didn't faff around or not recall. He acknowledged that it would have had an impact on the Shepherd Clark convictions. I mean, the unspoken part of that is that there's an element of the fit up about that.
Yes.
But that, I'm happy that David Barr managed to get Lambert to recognize that clearly was part of his thinking.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, it was quite uncharacteristic for Lambert just to be like, yes, that was it.
Yeah, but also I thought David Barr did very well in looking through the language, not just the words used, but the context in which they're used, particularly about the when he just said it's not possible. You can't say someone's a member of the ALF, can you? And I thought it was an excellent way of introducing that thread that he was teasing out of Lambert, because in this letter that is announcing that an ALF activist, Helen Steele, is visiting New Zealand, and so we've got to keep eyes on her. It's very important that we kind of don't lose sight of her. That is the pretext under which Lambert is trying to ensure that Helen Steele can be kept away from fully uncovering John Dines' real life as a means of protecting himself, Bob Lambert, and the convictions and his professional reputation, as much as it is protecting John Dines, an individual, on some level, a friend of Bob Lambert, if it's possible to be a friend of Bob Lambert. But I thought David Barr did an excellent job of peeling back the onion on that and managing to take Lambert with him to a point where he couldn't deny it in the way that sometimes he does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Barr's doing a great job with that. One thing that one of the ridiculous things that Lambert is maintaining is that he didn't know, nor did he have any curiosity to ask about why Helen Steele was desperate to track down John Dines, and claimed that he was completely unaware of the sexual relationship, even as late as the 2000s. Yeah,
I mean, that is a real head scratcher, because if there's one thing that we know is that his own sexual relationships whilst he was undercover, they weren't a secret from everybody else that he was spying upon. There was overlap in terms of knowledge of and between some of the women. It's persistent. It's been acknowledged by Lambert that he was having sexual relationships, and on each undercover since then, we can see that there was that don't ask, don't tell approach that he took, which he again sort of kind of opaquely referenced today, where he's talking about his management approach is don't ask.
That well-known detective sort of mentality of don't ask questions. It's just, it's laughable. I mean, what Barr keeps coming back to is like, because you didn't care, it didn't matter either way. I get the impression the truth actually is that this was talked about, just never written down. And that there's no paper trail, so he's maintaining this fiction that he never knew. But
I mean, I think that also links in with the some of the letters that we're seeing in relation to the New Zealand aspects, in that it's the language that's been used is sort of almost willfully non-transparent. It's clearly talking around topics in a way which seems intended to avoid putting things down on paper.
Yes.
In a way that is difficult to deny. So the aspect that kind of putting down an ALF activist or a member of the ALF rather, that seemed it was sort of something where it felt like he's really kind of doubling down at that. That's a real gamble, putting that on paper. When everything else around it is all hearsay, and it's not really as specific as that. So I thought that the fact that he was doing that, he was putting it down on paper, that seemed risky. Why do people do risky things when everything else that they've been doing, avoiding putting written statements? That kind of indicates how high stakes it was for Bob Lambert at that time. It's not for John Dines. It's I feel that this is all indicative of how Bob Lambert was then and is now principally interested in reputation management, legacy management, and doing anything he can to silo off anybody that's going to be a problem to him, to ensure that he himself can get away with whatever it is that he's done.
Yeah, absolutely. Another part which I think was really notable was the mentions of stuff around McLibel, and the fact that John Dines was the person who had the only person who had the in-depth knowledge of the McDonald's infiltrators, the freelance infiltrators, the corporate spies who were sent into London Greenpeace. And I mean, this is particularly highlighted, and like Barr asked, well, why is this highlighted? Is it that in fact there was some communication between the SDS and McDonald's, but Lambert's sure there was definitely never any of that. Definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, if we take it in terms of what was being said at each stage, the impression I got was that Lambert's spidey senses were being triggered by Dave Morris saying, we know about 4 infiltrators, 5 infiltrators, we're going to be dropping some truth bombs soon. And at that time, there must have been a note of panic for Lambert that he doesn't know whether these are going to include police infiltrators. So the sense I got from it was that he was really cagey, really nervous, and trying to figure out the best strategy for finding out exactly what Dave Morris knows at that time. And then obviously as the McLibel trial unfolds, I didn't like that little mention that there was no kind of constant reporting on what was happening in the trial itself for anybody that wasn't actually attending. That being kind of one of those things of British justice system until fairly recently, that it's almost impossible to follow a trial that doesn't have a proper court reporter reporting to your local newspaper, or
which is completely gutted these days. Not really a thing. So much,
So much of what we knew at the time about McLibel was because the McLibel defendants themselves and the support campaign were attending and disseminating information about what was happening and releasing documents that had come through disclosure and discovery.
I've just been alerted that we're going back in. It's only a short break. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, it's been a really interesting morning's evidence so far, and I think that it's getting to Lambert. It does feel like he's not in control anymore.
He's a lot more uncomfortable. There's a lot less smirking than we've seen over the last few days.
David Barr has taken on that role himself, and I don't think Lambert likes it. He's doing a big smug grin to Lambert.
Yes, he is, very much. All right, thanks for joining us. I'll do another video at lunchtime, hopefully a bit longer. Bye for now.